came across uh, the plan for Clark County, and I just wanted to share because a lot of people didn't understand that level of involvement or how they were being involved, and let's select it all. And just let's understand, can I select this or whatever? I think I have to do it like this. I'll just start here. Let's start somewhere. No, I can't. I have to do it. The whole thing. It's just real. Alright, wait, y'all. Because here we go down. I don't know if it's going to read. I'll have to wait and see what it does read. It's all in how they actually use cut and paste and put things together. If it will read, but we need to understand what their priorities are and how they actually spent the money. Because you didn't have any involvement. They don't do local control here, actually. They've never developed single plans for student achievement. That's not something that they've ever done. Let's just stop here and see what happens. Because I see they have a lot of scam stuff in here. It was really poorly put together. But what can we say? Skills and limited skills are just what they are. Whatever. Now let's see what we hear.
Clark County School District, September 10th, 2021. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds planned American Rescue Plan overview. Clark County School District CCSD received a $777 million allocation through the American Rescue Plan Act ARP, also known as Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief ESSER the third. ARP ESSER the third funding represents the largest federal relief and recovery investment to date and builds on the previous rounds of federal funding for pandemic response and relief ESSER IN2. This influx of funding provided much-needed resources at this critical time. ARP ESSER the third funding will enable CCSD to respond to the pandemic impacts our students are experiencing while planning for a brighter future for our schools. American Rescue Plan, ARP, details the American Rescue Plan ARP contains specific requirements for local education agencies' leaves. These requirements include engaging in meaningful consultation with stakeholders in the development of the plan. 20% required set aside to address disrupted learning using evidence-based academic, social and emotional learning strategies for vulnerable populations of students. Safe return to in-person instruction plan requirement, see Appendix. Local maintenance of equity requirement ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan requirements per U.S. Department of Education use guidance, CCSD is required to submit an ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan that must address, at a minimum, the following information. 1. The extent to which and how the funds will be used to implement prevention and mitigation strategies that are, to the greatest extent practicable, in line with the most recent CDC guidance, in order to continuously and safely operate schools for in-person learning. 1. 2. How the LEA will use the funds it reserves under Section 2021 of the ARP Act, at least 20% of the least total allocation of ARP ESSER funds, to address the academic impact of lost instructional time through the implementation of evidence-based interventions, such as summer learning or summer enrichment, extended day, comprehensive after-school programs, or extended school year programs. 3. How the LEA will spend its remaining ARP ESSER funds consistent with Section 2001E2 of the ARP Act, and once a safe return to in-person instruction plan and Appendix and CCSD's COVID-19 mitigation and continued response to pandemic impact spending priorities on page 16 of this document for how CCSD is responding to this requirement. 3. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan. 4. How the LEA will ensure that the interventions it implements, including but not limited to the interventions under the ARP Act to address the academic impact of lost instructional time, will respond to the academic, social, emotional, and mental health needs of all students, and particularly those students disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, including students from low-income families, students of color, English learners, children with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, children and youth in foster care, and migratory students. In development of its ARP-ESSER, the third use of funds plan, CCSD was also required to engage in meaningful consultation with stakeholders and provide the public an opportunity to share input on the development of its plan. Specifically, CCSD was required to engage in meaningful consultation with students, families, school and district administrators, including special education administrators, and teachers, principals, school leaders, other educators, school staff, and their unions. Additionally, CCSD was required to engage in meaningful consultation with each of the following, to the extent present and reserved by CCSD tribes, civil rights organizations, including disability rights organizations, and stakeholders representing the interests of children with disabilities, English learners, children experiencing homelessness, children in foster care, migratory students, children who are incarcerated, and other underserved students. The use of funds plan detailed on the following pages responds to the above requirements and represents a game-changing investment in CCSD's students as the district looks toward recovery with the American Rescue Plan Act funding. 4. Clark County School District ARP-ESSER, the third use of funds plan focusing on the future for kids. The needs of Clark County School District CCSD students are more pressing than ever as we recover from the COVID-19 pandemic and reimagine school for our children. Our community rallied around public education during the pandemic, and our community is playing a major role in identifying how we move forward. CCSD partnered with the community in the summer of 2021 to gather input from a diverse set of stakeholders as we plan for what's next. The focus on the future for kids. Community input process united the community to answer several questions, including: what do we want for our CCSD schools? How can we utilize upcoming federal funds to jumpstart our long-term, shared community vision for our schools? More than 13,000 stakeholders provided input and feedback to CCSD over 2 months. Their requests and perspectives directly informed CCSD's spending priorities for the $777 million in federal funds provided through the American Rescue Plan ARP, also known as ARP-ESSER III. The following use of funds plan outlines CCSD's community input and feedback process, CCSD's spending priorities for these funds, and includes an appendix that captures the artifacts from this unique collaborative year to ensure a strong future for our kids. 5. Clark County School District ARP-ESSER, the third use of funds plan community input and feedback process from July 5th, September 7th, 2021, CCSD engaged in a community input process that directly informed the $777 million ARP-ESSER, the third spending priorities. July 5th, August 18th community input conversations. More than 60 organizations gathered input from their stakeholders on the future they want to see for CCSD, representing perspectives of over 2,200 community members. Community Advisory Committee synthesize input with the goal of convening a representative cross-section of our diverse community. 3 community members from each CCSD region were selected to serve on the Community Advisory Committee (CAC) to help synthesize the input received. The CAC met to review the community input and developed a synthesis report that captures the topics and themes they observed. Click the following links to read the report in English or in Spanish. Budget development aligned to inputs using the topics and themes outlined in the Community Input Report. CCSD leadership identified ARP-ESSER, the third funding priorities and budgets responsive to the CAC's report, CCSD data, and aligned to CCSD's strategic plan, Focus, 2024. Community feedback via survey. 13,000 plus community members weighed in on CCSD's vision for the future and how recovery funds should be spent. This feedback informed the final spending decisions included in this plan, will inform how each of the spending priorities is implemented, and will frame future community conversations related to budgeting and crafting a long-term, Shared Vision for Ccsd, August 1831 September 176. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan community input participants. More than 60 organizations gathered input from their stakeholders on the future they want to see for Ccsd, representing perspectives of over 2,200 community members and meaningful consultation as requirements designated by ARP ESSER III-2. 100 Black Men of Las Vegas 10,000 Kids Partnership Africa's Cry Black Leadership Summit Boulder City Ccsd Trustees Linda Cavazos, Irene Sapeda, Evelyn Garcia Morales, and Lisa Guzman. Clark County Black Caucus, Clark County Children's Mental Health Consortium, Clark County Commissioner William McCurdy II, Clark County Department of Family Services, City of Henderson, City of North Las Vegas Code Switch Communities and Schools of Nevada Corps, powered by the Rogers Foundation, Department of Juvenile Justice Services, Discovery Children's Museum, Dr. Paula McDonald, Educate Nevada Now, powered by the Rogers Foundation, Education Support Employees Association, Girl Scouts of Southern Nevada, Green Our Planet, Infinity Diversity Mars, LLC, Invest Junior Achievement of Southern Nevada, Incorporated. La Luz del Mundo, Las Vegas Alliance of Black School Educators, Las Vegas City Councilwoman Olivia Diaz, Leaders in Training, Make It Work Nevada, Make the Road Nevada, Mi Familia Voda Education Fund, Ministers Alliance of Southern Nevada, Moapa Band of Paiutes, Moapa Valley Community Educational Advisory Board, Moapa Valley High School SOT, My Brother's Keeper Alliance, Mystic Dream, NAACP number 1111, National Action Network, LV National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Nevada Assembly, Nevada Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, Nevada Freedmen Association, Nevada Immigrant Coalition, Nevada Institute for Children's Research and Policy, Prevent Child Abuse, Nevada Legislature, Senator Dinah Neal, Nevada PEP, Nevada PDA, Nevadans for the Common Good, the Abodo Collective, Incorporated, Parent Leadership Team of Nevada, powered by Opportunity 180, Phoebe Wang Pilates and Company, LLC, Rise Up Nevada, Teach for America, Teach Plus Nevada, The Center, Serving the LGBTQ Community of Nevada, The Village Foundation, LJP Virgin Valley Community Education Advisory Board, Vote Nevada West, Las Vegas Promise Neighborhood Education Group, Workforce Connections YMCA of Southern Nevada. 2 ARP ESSER the third requires an LEA to engage in meaningful consultation with students, families, school and district administrators, including special education administrators, and teachers, principals, school leaders, other educators, school staff, and their unions. Additionally, an LEA must engage in meaningful consultation with each of the following, to the extent present and or served by the LEA: tribes, civil rights organizations, including disability rights organizations, and stakeholders representing the interests of children with disabilities, English learners, children experiencing homelessness, children in foster care, migratory students, children who are incarcerated, and other underserved students. The groups who engage their stakeholders in community input conversations represent the required constituents.
No, they don't.
7.
They don't.
Clark
Ooh,
County
Lord.
School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan Community Advisory Committee, CAC. Community members from each CCSD region were selected with the goal of convening a representative cross-section of the district's diverse community. The CAC was tasked with synthesizing the community input received to develop a list of common themes. CAC members: Region 1 Yoara Delgado, Brand Arias Johnson, Jody Thornley; Region 2 Laura Carroll, AJ Hollywood, Farada Jamal; and Region 3 Brander Gei Scovicka, Tanya Walls. Questions the CAC answered. 1. What do the participants in the Focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative believe should be true for kids' education? 2. How do the participants in the Focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative think the $770 million in federal funds should be used to jumpstart that vision? 3. What outstanding questions do the participants in the Focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative have that they want to be answered? 4. How did the CAC decide what themes and responses to include? The full report from the Community Advisory Committee can be found in the Appendix. Themes identified by the CAC.
Okay, I'm going to stop it here right now for 1 second because I want to talk about the Community Advisory Committee should be made up of all those SOT members and not, I don't know how they selected those few people from different regions because they want to say, oh, we're such a large district, we just don't have all that data. And I want to tell you, Bill, they're required to have all of the data because you see, these funds are federal dollars. We're not talking about any of the money. We're only talking about the use of the federal dollars. And who generates those federal monies? It's the American people. And we all have a stake in this, simply because of the failure of the public education system here locally. And if it wasn't failing, then we wouldn't have an opportunity to speak on it. But simply because of the failure, the opportunity exists. It just simply exists right now to have a conversation about all of the failure. And we must have a conversation as public education is mandatory and compulsory by law. Let's stop right here. And what I mean is that we are, as long as we are American citizens, we are responsible for the insurance and access for all of the children. And as it is not happening, and there's been no accountability, and you need to understand what states' rights actually do. States' rights just say, well, this is what we're doing as a state. And as long as everybody in that state is getting along, it's all wonderful. But the moment they don't get along anymore, it's something to say, and there's something to talk about right now. So let's just finish the reading, shall we?
Themes identified by the CAC. Equity, transparency and accountability, health and wellness, staffing and personnel, professional development, wraparound services, support, strengthen, and promote culturally responsive community engagement and partnerships, special education, localized decision-making and autonomy, college and career readiness, extracurricular and enrichment, after-school programs, tutoring and mentoring, quality of education, curriculum, facilities infrastructure, culture, cleanliness and sanitization of facilities, school policies, restorative justice programs, transportation, distance learning and hybrid learning, technology, COVID-19 impacts, early childhood education, early intervention, nutrition, long-term vision aid. Clark County School District ARP answer the third use of funds plan community input survey to ensure the community at large could weigh in on the ARP answer the third spending priorities. Ccsd asked stakeholders to complete an online survey from September 1, 2021. The survey included an opportunity for community members to respond to the themes identified through the community input conversations and to review and react to the draft spending priorities that were informed by those themes. More than 13,000 community members shared their feedback on the community input themes and draft spending priorities via the online survey. Ccsd reflected on the survey responses as it made final spending determinations that are represented on the following pages. Overall, Ccsd was pleased to see that the vast majority of the spending priorities resonated with community members. Some key takeaways include: for all student success spending priorities, more than 90% of respondents, and in some cases, close to 100%, answered that the priorities were somewhat important, very important, or most important to them, their families, and/or their communities. The teachers, principals, staff spending priorities that received the most positive responses were teacher leadership pathway and educator pipeline. Both received more than 95% positive responses. More than 50% of respondents shared that literacy, professional development, and mental health services were most important to them, their families, and/or their communities.
This is not
Nearly
even
all
what they have
spending
to do.
priorities were deemed
Minimal.
important to respondents. The only spending priority where more than 15% of respondents indicated not important was pipelined into administration for Black and Latino male educators, while 30% of respondents indicated this priority as most important. The results of the Community Input Survey can be found in the Appendix. Appreciation. Ccsd would like to thank the more than 13,000 community members who engaged in input conversations or completed the feedback survey, sharing their vision for our schools and how Ccsd should spend the incoming federal funds. This process was a great example of how the community and Ccsd can partner to ensure the decisions the district makes are representative of the community's priorities. Additional artifacts from the community input process, including the individual community input submissions, are available at future.ccsd.net. 9. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan spending priorities. Ccsd used the community input to directly inform the ARP ESSER the third spending priorities that are contained in the following pages. To prepare the most thoughtful spend plan possible, Ccsd additionally considered COVID-19 impact data and gathered best practices to inform planning. The spending priorities address the use of funds requirements outlined in the ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan requirements, pages 3 and 4 of this document. On July 9, 2021, the Nevada Department of Education NDE sent their ARP ESSER plan to the U.S. Department of Education used. As of September 8, 2021, it is still pending approval. Until approved, Lees must submit a budget for 2/3 of the total allocation amount. The spending priorities outlined below apportion the entire ARP ESSER the third allocation. However, as required, Ccsd's application to NDE will budget 2/3 of the entire allocation, prorated across all initiatives. Once Nevada's state plan is approved, Ccsd will send their application for the remaining balance. In addition, Ccsd set aside $6 million for Ccsd-sponsored charter schools, per NDE guidance, and, across every priority, Ccsd allocated only 2.07% for indirect costs. Guiding Principles. Ccsd developed a set of guiding principles to inform its spending decisions related to the ARP ESSER the third funds. Ccsd reflected on these commitments throughout the process and used these principles to make spending decisions that will position the district to both respond effectively to the COVID-19 pandemic and set a strong course for the future. 1. Ensure broad participation in spending decisions. Ccsd engaged more than 13,000 community members in a meaningful consultation process to ensure that the ARP ESSER the third spending priorities will meet community needs. 2. Consider how equitably funds are applied, including across schools, communities, and student groups who are historically underserved and underrepresented. Ccsd will ensure that ARP ESSER the third funds are spent to support.
Okay, that was a lot. Because you see, when the federal money comes in, it's based on the number of children who are underserved in the community. We're only talking about the federal dollars. So we're not talking about that state money, and we're not talking about the money for the charter schools. I don't know how charter schools got involved in the federal allocations, but there are some charter schools that can be funded, but they're just not funded the same way. And schools in the rural area, well, there's something called a rural schools grant. But when children generate those funds and they're not being served at all, when failure has become an option and we're not saying what we should say in regards to the lack of investment across our nation into the African American community, and I'm sorry, the conversation will begin and it will just happen. And it will be like we've always been talking at this level in regards to the ability to generate conversation regarding public services as we all pay. So no guiding principles. No, I'm talking about federal regulations. It is regulatory guidance that if a manifestation hearing happens when you move a child from their home school to an alternative program, and the obligation for the state is to do what? Consider. But see, when you have all these behavioral issues and you've been locked and boxed into the way you do it, and you feel that you are in the oversight authority and can command certain maintenance of whatever, and you are totally wrong, as the requirement for the state is to provide an opportunity. Then document how they provided that opportunity, and if it failed, what are they willing to do to ensure that they're trying to ensure that you have still been given an option. But when people are just so used to documenting willful behavior, and they felt that that was enough, we need to understand what we're talking about when we talk about the mere understanding of compulsory laws and compulsory education. Understand we must read the Constitution and understand that if it is meeting its basic opportunity or obligation to engage community members, because we're just not educating African American people. And I'm sorry, boo, that day is over, because we are still paying. And as we are still paying, we are still being harvested. And as that represents the plantation mentality, boo. Understand, I'm only streaming live. Simply how and why? Because America works for those who understand how it works.
1. Ensure broad participation in spending decisions. CCSD engaged more than 13,000 community members in a meaningful consultation process to ensure that the ARP-ESSER, the third spending priorities, will meet community needs. 2. Consider how equitably funds are applied, including across schools, communities, and student groups who are historically underserved and underrepresented. CCSD will ensure that ARP-ESSER, the third funds, are spent to support students who are most impacted by the pandemic, including those experiencing historical racial inequities and underserved student groups, e.g., students from low-income families, students of color, English learners, children with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, children and youth in foster care, and migratory students. 3. Use data to target investments where they're needed most. CCSD reviewed COVID impact data to assess student academic achievement, to identify subgroups of students most impacted by the pandemic, and to use that information to make targeted decisions about where to allocate ARP-ESSER, the third resources. 3. CCSD will continue to use student data to determine whether an initiative is successful and where additional support may be needed. 3. For more information on data used to inform ARP-ESSER, the third, see Appendix. Additional artifacts to view the presentation to Clark County Board of School Trustees from September 9, 2021. 10. Clark County School District ARP-ESSER, the third use of funds plan. 4. Plan for sustainability. CCSD considered whether individual spending priorities could be sustained after grant funds expire. 5. Weigh feasibility of individual initiatives. CCSD assessed whether each individual spending priority would be feasible given the current climate, e.g., stunting challenges. 6. Honor the promise to taxpayers to focus on students in relief. CCSD is committed to investing ARP-ESSER, the third funds, to support students who are in need of the greatest support while planning for a brighter future. CCSD further commits to stewarding ARP-ESSER, the third funds, with transparency by providing regular reports and updates about current expenditures, any planned grant amendments, and student achievement data. Used mandates that 20% of ARP-ESSER, the third funds, address learning loss through implementation of evidence-based interventions. CCSD has met the threshold for allocating over 20% of its ARP-ESSER, the third allocation, to address disrupted learning using evidence-based academic, social and emotional learning strategies for students most impacted by the pandemic. Using Focus 2024 as a guide, CCSD aligned its ARP-ESSER, the third spending priorities, to the district's strategic plan, Focus 2024. In the coming months and years, CCSD's work will be guided by the strategic plan and informed by community input identified through the Focus on the Future for Kids community input process. The ARP-S or the third spending priorities are organized using the Focus 2024 strategic plan priority areas. Student success, teachers, principals, staff, balanced governance and leadership, sound fiscal management, informed all spending decisions, parent and community support. COVID-19 mitigation, new priority. As part of the ARP-S or the third implementation process, CCSD commits to monitoring and reporting on data related to the spending priorities. In the coming months, CCSD will develop a Focus 2024 strategic plan refresh to include the ARP-S or the third spending priorities and unique measures of success for this plan. Specifically, CCSD will also monitor and report on data that will track impacts for students who have been most impacted by the pandemic, including those experiencing historical racial inequities and underserved student groups, e.g., students from low-income families, students of color, English learners, children with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, children and youth in foster care, and migratory students. CCSD looks forward to sharing the Focus 2024 strategic plan refresh. 11. Clark County School District ARP-S or the third use of funds plan student success. The student success priority includes 4 areas of focus that drive CCSD's decision-making. 1. Increase student achievement in English language arts, mathematics, and science. 2. Decrease student proficiency gaps in English language arts, mathematics, and science. 3. Increase access and equity to rigorous curriculum and instruction for all students. 4. Ensure students and staff are safe and students are engaged at school. How CCSD will invest in student success. The vast majority of CCSD's spending priorities are allocated within the student success priority. CCSD is upholding its guiding principle to focus on students and relief, further detailed on the following pages. How CCSD will prioritize students disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, students who are the most impacted by the pandemic and those who have consistently experienced lack of access to resources and opportunity will be prioritized for the additional supports outlined below. Students targeted for support include those experiencing historical racial inequities and underserved student groups, e.g., students from low-income families, students of color, English learners, children with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, children and youth in foster care, and migratory students. CCSD will utilize academic achievement data, social emotional needs, and equity and access data to target programming and interventions. For alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, health and wellness, professional learning wraparound services, support, strengthen, and promote culturally responsive community engagement and partnerships, special education, localized decision-making and autonomy, college and career readiness, extracurricular and enrichment, after-school programs, tutoring and mentoring, quality of education, curriculum, culture, distance education and hybrid learning, technology, COVID-19 impacts, early childhood education, early intervention. 01. Expand pre-K to ensure every CCSD school has at least one general education pre-K classroom and expand programs in the coming years, based on student need. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. 02. Literacy professional learning to ensure every educator who teaches reading is well trained in the fundamentals of literacy instruction. Used priority alignment, Addressing learning loss through evidence-based interventions. Academic, $7,641,942. $38,314,303 for response to use guidance. How the LEA will ensure that the interventions it implements, including but not limited to the interventions under the ARP Act to address the academic impact of lost instructional time, will respond to the academic, social, emotional, and mental health needs of all students, and particularly those students disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, including students from low-income families, students of color, English learners, children with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, children and youth in foster care, and migratory students. 12. Clark County School District ARP ESSER, the third use of funds plan. Ode 3. TIRA instructional materials for English language arts and social emotional learning, including supplemental instructional materials to provide for a quality education in every CCSD classroom and ensure educators have supports they need to deliver high-quality, standards-based, de-orientated instruction to all learners. Used priority alignment. Addressing learning loss through evidence-based interventions. Academic. 04. 6-week summer career courses for students, especially those furthest from opportunity, to gain exposure and connections to career options that both meet the business community's hiring needs and feed into CCSD's high-demand jobs. Used priority alignment. Providing extended learning opportunities. 05. Paid professional credentials for students to reduce barriers to entry and ensure any student who completes a career course of study can pursue that career. Used priority alignment. Providing extended learning opportunities. 06. Mental health services to provide more dedicated staff and resources to ensure students who are struggling socially and emotionally receive the supports they need. Used priority alignment. Addressing learning loss through evidence-based interventions. Social emotional learning. 07. Upgrade technology to provide for a consistent learning experience across schools, including the infrastructure, staffing, and resources required for CCSD to deliver effective one-on-one instruction and prepare our students for the careers of tomorrow. Used priority alignment. Purchasing educational technology for distance learning, including hardware, software, and connectivity. 08. Community partnerships for learning acceleration and wraparound supports that will include allocations directly to community organizations to support students who have been most impacted by the pandemic. Used priority alignment. Addressing learning loss through evidence-based interventions. Social emotional learning. 09. Direct allocation to elementary schools to address pandemic learning loss in the manner each school believes will best meet the needs of their individual students. Used priority alignment. Providing extended learning opportunities. 10. ELL endorsement for all teachers to ensure every CCSD teacher has the knowledge and skills to support English language learners. Used priority alignment. Addressing the unique needs of disadvantaged, at-risk, and racial and ethnic populations. $73,961,580. $22,918,126. $6,789,786. $76,907,159. $209,125,883. $46,443,861. $23,490,023. $27,575,245. 13. Clark County School District ARP ESSER, the third use of funds plan. Teachers, principals, staff. How CCSD will invest in teachers, principals, staff. The following priorities were developed with a commitment to recruiting, retaining, and ensuring adequate staffing with a focus on increasing the diversity and representation of our educators. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, staffing and personnel, professional learning, quality of education. 01. teacher leadership pathway that will create formal, long-term pathways that will enable educators to grow in their careers while also providing meaningful, job-embedded professional learning to their peers. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. O2. Educator pipeline opportunity for CCSD paraprofessionals to earn a teaching credential that will allow them to grow professionally in the district while addressing CCSD's persistent teacher shortages. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. O3. Pipelined into administration for Black and Latino male educators that will provide a sustainable pathway for more Black and Latino male educators to grow into school administration roles via a master's degree and cohort experience. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. $4,839,301, $6,121,704, $515,759. Balanced governance and leadership. How CCSD will invest in balanced governance and leadership. CCSD will seek to increase.
Okay, so let's just take a break right here and just understand that. Oh, my phone is ringing. I'm just going to keep on recording. There that is. Start speaking.
Balanced governance and leadership. How CCSD will invest in balanced governance and leadership. CCSD will seek to increase communications and transparency with regards to its plans and progress toward its goals. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, transparency and accountability, long-term vision. 01. Strategic planning to ensure CCSD can track and share progress toward its goals and refresh plans. As the pandemic evolves and CCSD looks toward the future. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. $345,643. 14. Clark County School District ARP ESSER. The third use of funds. Planned Parent and Community Support. How CCSD will invest in parent and community support. CCSD seeks to create more meaningful engagement opportunities with families and community members to support our shared goals. This will happen through the ongoing focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative, where CCSD will ask for input and share updates related to the ARP ESSER, the third spending priorities. Through this spending area, CCSD will provide direct training to parents so they can better support their learners with technology at home, which relates closely to an investment in the Student Success Priority Area technology upgrades. CCSD will also seek to share information with the community that will increase transparency and accountability for the shared vision we are developing together. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, transparency and accountability, wraparound services, support, strengthen, and promote culturally responsive community engagement and partnerships, distance education and hybrid learning, technology, COVID-19 impacts. 01. Parent technology training that will offer targeted digital literacy training to parents and caregivers so they can support students at home and have the opportunity to utilize that technology to advance their lives. As well. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. 02. Data transparency and accountability will include building and launching a comprehensive, publicly accessible data dashboard system that will provide timely and transparent student achievement data, equity and access data, and overall CCSD performance in order to continue to build trust throughout the community. Used priority alignment, conducting other activities necessary to maintain the operation and continuity of services, employing existing staff, and coordinating activities. $296,181, $8,688,932.15. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan COVID-19 mitigation and continued response to pandemic impacts. How CCSD will invest in COVID-19 mitigation and continued response. CCSD's top priority is to ensure the health and safety of its students and staff while continuing to address the pandemic impacts students are experiencing. Continued investments building on previous rounds of federal funding will include 5. Coordinated response to COVID-19, COVID-19 testing and vaccine support, Health Director, Health Secretary, school nurses, employee health nurses, contact tracing professionals, employee stipends and incentive MOIs, nursing station ionization project, HVAC energy management audit, and EMOCA renewal. Learning loss, professional learning, summer math grade reform, ELL, district-wide summer school programs, RTI project facilitators, operations and service continuity, bus disinfecting, food service, snacks for summer programs, charter school pass-through funding, culinary portable, SEL services, panorama, care solace, social workers for CCSD-PD, school counselors, etc. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, COVID-19 impacts. 01. COVID-19 mitigation spending priorities will include a range of health, safety, and student support measures so CCSD can respond to the evolving nature of the pandemic. Used priority alignment. Coordinate local education agencies with state, local, tribal, and territorial efforts with departments of health and other relevant agencies to prevent, prepare, and respond to COVID-19. $217,874,067. 5. Response to used guidance. The extent to which and how the funds will be used to implement prevention and mitigation strategies that are, to the greatest extent practicable, in line with the most recent CDC guidance, in order to continuously and safely operate schools for in-person learning. 16. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan conclusion and commitment. CCSD is eager to implement the spending priorities outlined in this plan and looks forward to sharing progress related to these priorities through regular engagement opportunities. CCSD commits to stewarding ARP ESSER the third funds with transparency by providing regular reports and updates about current expenditures, any planned grant amendments, and student achievement data. CCSD further commits to ensuring that ARP ESSER the third spending will target, wherever feasible, the needs of students who have been most impacted by the pandemic, including those experiencing historical racial inequities and underserved student groups, e.g., students from low-income families, students of color, English learners, children with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, children and youth in foster care, and migratory students. The focus on the future for kids. Community Input Initiative is intended to create an ongoing feedback cycle so the community can share its priorities and receive updates on spending informed by those priorities. CCSD looks forward to further engagement in the months and years ahead as we continue to build our shared vision for the future. 17. Clark County School District ARP ESSER the third use of funds plan appendices. 1. Community input and feedback process, public websites. A. Focus on the future for kids mini site. B. Input toolkit. C. Input synthesis. D. Additional artifacts. 2. Community input and feedback process, documents. A. Community Advisory Committee ECAC process. B. Community Advisory Committee ECAC report, English. C. Community Advisory Committee ECAC report, Spanish. D. CCSD memo to the community, English. E. CCSD memo to the community, Spanish F. Community feedback survey results, English G. Community feedback survey results, Spanish. 3. ARP answer the third requirements, documents A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services, also known as Safe Return to In-Person Instruction Plan 18. Appendix 2A. Community Advisory Committee Process 1. Appendix 2A. Community Advisory Committee Process 2.
Hold on a second. It got too quiet in here. I knew it must have got to this part. Hold on, because this was scanned in, and when it's scanned in, it won't read. And so, here we go. We need to go here. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Girl, you just need to focus. No, I can't even spend any time. It's a game. Oh, the game we play when we're, but it doesn't really matter because I have to stop right now. Okay, now I'm gonna start reading again. Hold on one second. All right. I don't even know what it sounds like when it starts.
Focus on the Future for Kids Community Advisory Committee Final Synthesis Report August 26, 2021. Focus on the Future for Kids Community Advisory Committee members involved in synthesizing input and preparing the following report. Yoara Delgado, Brandarius Johnson, Jody Thornley, 8J Holly, Ruth Brandel, Gei Drive, Tanya Walls, Laura Carol, Farah Jamalad. And Focus on the Future for Kids Community Advisory Committee process. The Focus on the Future for Kids Committee believes the Focus on the Future for Kids is a shared vision of what the community wants for schools. Focus on the Future for Kids Community Advisory Committee reviewed input provided by stakeholders and compiled a list of common themes identified in the forms provided from input sessions held by community stakeholders. The committee synthesized community input between August 19th and August 26th and prepared this report of our synthesis of 62 community input forms. The planning team tasked the committee to answer the following questions. What do the participants in the Focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative believe should be true for kids' education? How do the participants in the Focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative think the $770 million in federal funds should be used to jumpstart that vision? What outstanding questions do the participants in the Focus on the Future for Kids Community Input Initiative have that they want to be answered? How did the CAC decide what themes and responses? The committee reviewed all community input forms and discussed independently not aided repeated topics and themes. The committee identified topics. Committee members listed keywords and phrases that identified themes, such as pre-K, under, early childhood education. The committee acknowledged several keywords could be interpreted and included in different themes. The committee discussed the context of the themes that stakeholders could interpret differently to promote understanding of the topic, upon which the committee articulated the theme or several themes. Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English. 1. The committee did not have access to accurate population size data because the number of participants was not provided on all forms. The committee was unable to determine a precise representation of the participants involved. All themes identified have been included in no particular order. Questions and concerns of Focus on the Future for Kids Community Advisory Committee. The process to gather community feedback could have been improved. For example, stakeholders may have been unaware of the input sessions and unable to provide input. The decision makers may collect information to which the committee does not have access. The committee synthesized only the community input forms provided. As per federal requirements, funds should not be conflated with general funds allocated for this purpose with programs and services not meant for the federal government's stated purpose, and or to fund general programs seeking to serve all students equally without regard for the Title I and other governing it policies. Care relief funds were meant to be used for acronyms in the community input forms: AAVE, African American Vernacular English AC or AC, Air Conditioner ACES, Adverse Childhood Experiences Act, American College Test AD, Automated External Defibrillator AP, Assistant Principal AP, Advanced Placement APIE, Asian and Pacific Islander American ARP, American Rescue Plan ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color CCSD, Clark County School District CIS, Communities and Schools CTE, Career and Technical Education DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DFS, Department of Family Services ELL, English Language Learner ESL, English as a Second Language ESY, Extended School Year GATE, Gifted and Talented Education GSA, Gay Straight Alliance IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act IEP, Individualized Education Plan IT, Information Technology JA, Junior Achievement Appendix 2B, Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 2. JAG, Jobs for America's Graduates LGBTQ+, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer or questioning PBIS, positive behavioral interventions and supports PBL, project-based learning PT, professional development PK, pre-kindergarten PLC, professional learning community pre-K, pre-kindergarten PDA, parent-teacher association RTI, response to intervention SAT, scholastic aptitude test SBT, school-based team SEL, social emotional learning SOT, school organizational team SPED, special education STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, mathematics STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics TESE, teacher expectations and student achievement UV, ultraviolet topics and themes identified equity. Apply and use the funds equitably, centering the voices and requests of those historically and disproportionately excluded, especially students of color. Close opportunity, access, and funding gaps for at-risk, low-income, minoritized, and historically marginalized student populations like students of color, BIPOC communities, SPED, LGBTQ, communities that experience the conditions of poverty. Identify equity needs related to funding, personnel, wraparound services, and resource allocation for schools in rural communities. Transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability for educators and school leadership and Ccsd district-level administrators. Transparency, communication, and accountability for development of the decision-making process, the allocation of funds, the expenditures, programs and outcomes of investments made. Transparency and accountability in the communication processes. Health and Wellness Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 3. Access to SEL, mental health tools, and prevention resources to support physical, emotional, mental, social wellness for students, families, and educators. Accessibility to healthcare, thus allowing learning to be the center of focus. Access to highly qualified, culturally responsive, mental, behavioral, and physical healthcare professionals, counselors, psychologists, social workers, mentors, school nurses, and support staff. Integrate social emotional learning and cultural education to support the well-being of students. Provide mental health tools and prevention resources to support social emotional wellness and mental and physical health. Staffing and personnel. Building and diversifying educator pipeline, recruit, hire, competitively compensate, and retain diverse, highly qualified professionals. Diversity and representation among teachers and leaders so that the student population see themselves reflected in leadership. Adequate staffing of teachers, specialists, librarians, support classified staff, technology staff and other professionals. Compensation, incentives and bonuses to ensure quality education and services, with an improved adult-to-student ratio. Smaller class sizes, professional development. Provide educators, district leaders, specialists, and staff with professional development tools to practice perspective taking and empathy to build connections with students. Assessments, accountability and resources to ensure quality teaching. Promote positive school environments. Provide cultural sensitivity, unconscious bias, and restorative justice training to leaders and educators. Ensure training on technology and software programs and provide services to enable and support educators to facilitate distance hybrid learning. Wraparound services. Wraparound services and community engagement that bring services into schools and homes. Engage and bring in support services from diverse, community-embedded practitioner and organizations with experience working with diverse student populations. Support, strengthen, and promote culturally responsive community engagement and partnerships. Coordinate culturally responsive community services and resources. Promote community business partnerships. Educational opportunities to enhance parental at-home involvement in education. Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 4. Workshops to promote community involvement and engagement with diverse communities and stakeholders. Effective communication of information, ensuring access in multiple languages, and not utilizing jargon in communication practices. Increase partnerships with diverse community organizations that represent our diverse community. Business partnerships provide enrichment and impactful experiences. Special education. Provide inclusive, differentiated, well-coordinated support services and resources, early intervention, more adult assistance, assistive tech, cameras for liability, accessible spaces, quiet rooms, etc. to increase student academic success. Compliance in Individualized Education Plan, IEP, and 504. Provide support services and resources to ensure compliance. Ensure accessibility in all spaces for all members of the community, such as closed captioning. Empower all students to succeed and provide culturally responsive and rigorous curriculum, resources and support for special education, English language learners, ELs, gifted and talented, GATE, and all students with diverse educational needs. Reduce overrepresentation and disproportionate labeling of black students in subjective special ed categories like emotionally disturbed for typical behaviors of children at any given age group. Issues of inequity push black students toward prison and poverty pathways. Localized decision-making and autonomy. Assess and ensure diversity amongst decision-makers that represent our diverse student population. Promote localized decision-making, including school leaders' ability to make decisions. Diverse and culturally responsive school organization teams, SOT, that are recognized and represented with oversight from the Associate Superintendent. Diverse and culturally responsive parent-teacher associations, PTA, that are recognized and represented. College and career readiness. Provide access to schools, resources, and support for career, vocational and technical education programs. Expand college application, readiness programs, services, career technical education, CTE, STEM programs, vocational and trade programs. Provide pathways to support college and career readiness for all students. Provide access to guidance counselors to help students with college readiness, such as writing essays. Extracurricular and Enrichment Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 5. Integrate extracurricular activities and enrichment programs that develop talents and interests. Include electives into regular curriculum. Athletics, art, music, and other creative offerings made accessible for students. After-school programs. Access to free after-school programs. Tutoring and mentoring. Identify and expose gaps in education and provide support and resources to facilitate filling the gaps. Development and implementation of services and resources to increase student academic success. Promote student self-advocacy. Quality of education. High-quality teaching methods, programs and curriculum meeting the differentiated and individualized needs of the student. Culturally and historically responsive curriculum and training, create, promote, and sustain a welcoming and inclusive community. Recruit from diverse cities. Improved response to intervention, RTI, to improve outcomes for all students. Curriculum. Literacy, financial literacy, SEL, gardening, robotics, life skills, home economics, driver's education, exploratory learning and project-based learning, PBL program expansion and support. Ethnic studies and multicultural courses and standards. Expansion of GATE program. Facilities infrastructure. Infrastructure to ensure physical safety, well-being and equitable learning opportunities, construction, maintenance, and repairs of buildings. Protocols to maintain a healthy and safe learning environment. Update AC or filtration systems. Address the infrastructure and facility inequities in underserved areas and vulnerable communities and populations. Culture. Facilitate a culture of inclusiveness, respect and anti-bullying and anti-racism. Black Circle. Facilitate programs and processes to eliminate sexual harassment and abuse. Cleanliness and sanitization of facilities Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 6. School policies. School policies to promote culturally responsive, social-emotional learning, such as dress code, restorative justice policies. Keeping in compliance with legislation such as for Section 504 and IEPs. Promote racial equity in policy development and implementation. Culturally responsive social-emotional learning. Promote LGBTQ+ in policy development and implementation. Restorative justice programs. Address school-to-prison pipeline. Students specifically mentioned discipline processes, i.e., not suspending for tardiness, not feeling safe with police presence and feeling schools are run like a prison. Black Circle, training to educate authority figures and leaders to de-escalate situations. Transportation. robust transportation systems to meet the unique needs of students. Purchase buses and means of transportation needed, considering long-term use, such as green buses, distance learning and hybrid learning. Educational model online, in-person, hybrid, meeting the unique needs of students and parents assisting children. Parent and guardian support with technology. Providing reliable access to broadband technology to ensure distance learning access. Distance learning access to high-quality education, including advanced placement courses, diverse electives. Distance education support services, such as technical support 24/7 in multiple languages. Technology. Access to technology and technology resources, including paper, Chromebooks, sports equipment, music equipment. Broadband access that is reliable. Workshops and educational opportunities to support families' technical knowledge to assist students. Eliminate access gaps currently and historically existing for underserved and vulnerable student populations. COVID-19 impacts. COVID exacerbated vulnerabilities in communities that need to be addressed. Provide support services and highly qualified professionals should be provided to address mental health concerns, including stress and anxiety due to COVID. Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 7. The lack of access to technology like broadband and working Chromebooks was an expressed problem. Provide access to functioning technology and support services on how to use it. Community outreach to identify the vulnerabilities. Guidance and support services to facilitate the use of technology provided. Provide transparency on plans to sanitize and ventilate schools moving forward. Early childhood education. Early intervention. Inclusive and equitable early childhood education opportunities to prepare for academic, social and emotional learning success. Preschool, all-day pre-K and all-day kindergarten in areas with working-class families. Early intervention. Early assessments for individual children. Nutrition. Healthy and nutritious meals for all students. Black Circle, food security. Long-term vision. Establish and develop a plan with a sustainable long-term vision. Community questions and concerns that did not fall under a main idea or theme, but are necessary to note. How were people notified about this process? How can we ensure that more community members have their voices heard in the future? How will Ccsd communicate, provide transparency and accountability for tracking and reporting the funds that will be allocated? And who will have access to deploy the funds to assist the students directly and monitor the outcomes benefits from the investments? How can the process for community input be improved to ensure accountability, inclusivity, and equal representation? How can Ccsd keep the community informed by elaborating on the decision-making process to allocate the funds? When and how will the district release information regarding the spending of funds? How can Ccsd ensure principals, teachers, support staff, and leaders have professional development opportunities to help assess viewpoints and biases to be culturally responsive and effectively communicate and engage with diverse families and community members? Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 8. How will Ccsd ensure a truly equitable distribution of funds? Students asked. Are teachers or school counselors even trained? How will Ccsd ensure transparency moving forward? How are underserved and vulnerable populations being represented and supported? How is Ccsd improving the teacher pipeline and encouraging opportunities for professional development, diversity, and advancement with staff? What strategies and assessments are being implemented to find solutions to ensure connectivity and technology access is equal? How is the district accountable for COVID safety and sanitation protocols? How will Ccsd provide a solution to reduce the school-to-prison pipeline? How will Ccsd implement better counseling, social-emotional learning, mental health, and professional help on campus? How is CCSD working with other local agencies, local governments, and organizations to reduce redundancy, leverage resources, and maximize efficiency? How can CCSD increase community engagement and integration and leverage community resources? What can CCSD do to develop a clear pathway for community partners to offer wraparound services? What can CCSD do to develop a clear pathway to becoming a part of the procurement process to contract with the district? Has CCSD identified critical one-time payment projects or efforts that could produce long-term results? What will CCSD do to address the overcrowded, outdated, old schools that are not adequately maintained or renovated? How will CCSD improve relationships and communications between adults and students? How will CCSD address the lack of socialization for the younger students and those with special needs during virtual education? Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 9. What kind of assistance will schools offer to distance education students? How will CCSD continue to combat bullying and cyberbullying? How can CCSD efficiently track and record how the funds are being dispersed to each school in the district and report the spending of the money at each school? Stakeholders felt questions on the forms were limiting. The process for capturing community input should be improved. Appendix 2B. Community Advisory Committee Report, English, 10. Combite, combining acute accent as is comunitario para el enfoque al futuro de los niños, combining tilde OSI, combining acute accent and tesis del informe final 26 de agosto de 2021, los miembros del Combite, combining acute accent as is comunitario para el enfoque al futuro de los niños, combining tilde OS que participaron para sintetizar la information.
Okay, so I don't even understand Spanish, so that was the Spanish part, and of course it is online. They ask the same questions for the Spanish population, but you see they want to service their people who work in the community. And here we go. This is more English. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is it. So September 1st. Oh, I don't think it's going to read that. It's not going to read that. Let's try this one. Yeah, it'll read this part. Because it doesn't read the scan part. It just doesn't read the scan part. And so we'll just go here and start letting it read, y'all. Understand that they just don't know what to do because they've never done it the right way. But they will before this is all over.
Memo to the community. CCSD's Community Informed American Rescue Plan Spending Priorities Progress as of September 1st, 2021 Overview. Our community rallied around public education during the pandemic, and our community is playing a major role in identifying how we move forward. CCSD partnered with the community over the last 2 months to gather input from a diverse set of stakeholders as we plan for what's next. The focus on the future for kids. Community Input Process united the community to answer several questions, including: what do we want for our CCSD schools? How can we utilize upcoming federal funds to jumpstart our long-term, shared community vision for our schools? CCSD is using the community input to inform spending of the $777 million in federal funds provided through the American Rescue Plan, also known as ISR III. Synthesis process with the goal of convening a representative cross-section of our diverse community. 3 community members from each CCSD region were selected to serve on a Community Advisory Committee, CAC, to help synthesize the input received. The CAC met to review the community input and developed a synthesis report that captures the topics and themes they observed. Community Advisory Committee Final Synthesis Report, dated August 26, 2021, can be found here. future.ccsd.net/synthesizing-input. CCSD has reviewed the community input synthesis and used the topics and themes to inform the draft ARP spending priorities that are contained in the following pages. Appreciation. CCSD sincerely appreciates the more than 2,200 community members who provided input through the first round of the Focus on the Future for Kids community input process. CCSD is also incredibly grateful to the CAC for their extensive time, passion, and commitment to synthesizing our community's input. Next steps. On September 1st, 2021, CCSD will release a community survey giving all stakeholders an opportunity to provide feedback on CCSD's community-informed spending priorities, which are outlined on the following pages of this memo. Survey here. On September 9th, 2021, the final community-informed spending priorities will be presented to the Board of School Trustees. On September 10, 2021, CCSD will submit to the Nevada Department of Education both a budget and a use of funds plan that will share in greater detail what is included in the spending priorities and how they were informed by the community. This information will be posted for public review. This memo is meant to serve as an update to the community and is part of an ongoing effort to increase transparency and strengthen communications. Appendix 2D. CCSD Memo to the Community, English, to Memo to the Community. CCSD's Community-Informed American Rescue Plan Spending Priorities Progress as of September 1st, 2021. CCSD American Rescue Plan Community-Informed Spending Priorities. CCSD has aligned its ARP spending priorities to the district's strategic plan, Focus, 2024. In the coming months and years, CCSD's work will be guided by the strategic plan and informed by community input identified through the Focus on the Future for Kids community input process. Student success. How CCSD prioritizes student success. Students who are the most impacted by the pandemic and those who have consistently experienced lack of access to resources and opportunity will be prioritized for the additional supports outlined below. CCSD will consider academic achievement data, social emotional needs, and equity and access data. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, health and wellness, professional learning wraparound services, support, strengthen, and promote culturally responsive community engagement and partnerships, special education, localized decision-making and autonomy, college and career readiness, extracurricular and enrichment, after-school programs, tutoring and mentoring, quality of education, curriculum, culture, distance education and hybrid learning, technology, COVID-19 impacts, early childhood education, early intervention student success spending priorities. Expand pre-K to ensure every CCSD school has at least one general education pre-K classroom and expand programs in the coming years, based on student need. Literacy professional learning to ensure every educator who teaches reading is well trained in the fundamentals of literacy instruction. TIRA instructional materials for English language arts and social emotional learning, including supplemental instructional materials to provide for a quality education in every CCSD classroom and ensure educators have supports they need to deliver high quality, standards-based, differentiated instruction to all learners. 6-week summer career courses for students, especially those furthest from opportunity, to gain exposure and connections to career options that both meet the business community's hiring needs and feed into CCSD's high-demand jobs. Paid professional credentials for students to reduce barriers to entry and ensure any student who completes a career course of study can pursue that career. Mental health services to provide more dedicated staff and resources to ensure students who are struggling socially and emotionally receive the supports they need. Upgrade technology to provide for a consistent learning experience across schools, including the infrastructure, staffing, and resources required for CCSD to deliver effective one-on-one instruction and prepare our students for the careers of tomorrow. Community partnerships for learning acceleration and wraparound supports that will include allocations directly to community organizations to support students who have been most impacted by the pandemic. Direct allocation to elementary schools to address pandemic learning loss in the manner each school believes will best meet the needs of their individual students. ELL endorsement for all teachers to ensure every CCSD teacher has the knowledge and skills to support English language learners. Appendix 2D. CCSD memo to the community, English, 3. Memo to the community. CCSD's Community-Informed American Rescue Plan spending priorities progress as of September 1st, 2021. Teachers, principals, staff. How CCSD prioritizes teachers, principals, staff. The following priorities were developed with a commitment to recruiting, retaining, and ensuring adequate staffing with a focus on increasing the diversity and representation of our educators. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, staffing and personnel, professional learning, quality of education. Teachers, principals, staff spending priorities. Teacher leadership pathway that will create formal, long-term pathways that will enable educators to grow in their careers while also providing meaningful, job-embedded professional learning to their peers. Educator pipeline opportunity for CCSD paraprofessionals to earn a teaching credential that will allow them to grow professionally in the district while addressing CCSD's persistent teacher shortages. Pipeline into administration for Black and Latino male educators that will provide a sustainable pathway for more Black and Latino male educators to grow into school administration roles via a master's degree and cohort experience. Balanced governance and leadership. How CCSD prioritizes balanced governance and leadership. CCSD will seek to increase communications and transparency with regards to its plans and progress toward its goals. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, transparency and accountability, long-term vision. Balanced governance and leadership spending priorities. Strategic planning to ensure CCSD can track and share progress toward its goals and refresh plans as the pandemic evolves and CCSD plans for the future. Appendix 2D. CCSD memo to the community, English, 4. Memo to the community. CCSD's Community-Informed American Rescue Plan spending priorities progress as of September 1st, 2021. Parent and community support. How CCSD prioritizes parent and community support. CCSD seeks to create more meaningful engagement opportunities with families and community members to support our shared goals, and CCSD commits to providing information to the community that will increase transparency and accountability. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, transparency and accountability, wraparound services, support, strengthen, and promote culturally responsive community engagement and partnerships, distance education and hybrid learning, technology. COVID-19 impacts parent and community support spending priorities. Parent technology training that will offer targeted digital literacy training to parents and caregivers so they can support students at home and have the opportunity to utilize that technology to advance their lives as well. Data transparency and accountability will include building and launching a comprehensive, publicly accessible data dashboard system that will provide timely and transparent student achievement data, equity and access data, and overall CCSD performance in an effort to continue to build trust throughout the community. COVID-19 mitigation. How CCSD prioritizes COVID-19 mitigation. CCSD's top priority is to ensure the health and safety of its students and staff. Alignment to themes identified by the community, equity, COVID-19 impacts. COVID-19 mitigation spending priorities will include a range of health, safety, and student support measures so CCSD can respond to the evolving nature of the pandemic. What's next? Finalizing the spending priorities. A use of funds plan will be produced and submitted with the final budget to the Nevada Department of Education on September 10, 2021. The plan will include additional information related to spending decisions, including more detail about other revenue sources to support major themes that were identified through the community input process. Superintendent Jara will hold several in-person and virtual town halls in late September to present the spending priorities and continue a conversation with our community about what we want to see in our schools. Ccsd looks forward to sharing more information with the community in the weeks and months ahead, as additional community feedback will be considered and plans are finalized. Appendix 2D. Ccsd Memo to the Community, English, 5.
Okay, so that is what their plan is, and believe me, because every school site that receives the federal dollars is obligated to submit a plan for the reimbursement group. And that's not how Clark County has ever done any of the local control, because they simply supplant funds and everybody gets a share. So, to open up the conversation for all community members to have a understanding of what's going to happen with that $770 million or whatever, close to $1 billion. Let's just understand what I'm saying. I'm saying in America, there's just a requirement for children who are special ed, wraparound services for children who are in poverty, staffing and personnel, and nobody gets to make a choice of spending money like they're spending it from a checkbook, meaning that we put this much money over here and we got this much money over here and we're doing this much money with this and we're doing this much money with this. And if your people just don't make it, well, boo, I'm sorry. That's what it has been. So wake up in 2021 and understand that the way that they've been spending the money and the percentages that they've been setting aside for you and your family violate the federal regulations, because the federal government just does not provide money as it is spending it like a checkbook. And see, this expand pre-K to every child? No, we provide pre-K services by the census, by the number of children who live in any particular area. And that's how the state should ensure that access is happening, by the number. But when these people were putting all these townhomes in small areas like in Henderson, 770 townhomes on one street and 300 townhomes on another street. And all those are townhomes selling for $300 each. 300,000. Well, what about all those 300 families that are living over there? And where are their children going to get educated? Because there's not enough schools in Henderson, as they are building out these townhomes that hold lots of people when there's not enough services in any area. But when they would take the money that is generated by your children and spread it equally amongst every, well, that just doesn't say that's America to me. Because it is every child that is entitled to a public education, and they have to analyze what they're doing. And I don't care what these percentages and the weights that they got set up, because this is not how the money is allocated. In any other state, Nevada does something special to its own. And they actually find programs that are the lowest to the bottom and saying, ooh, this is what we're doing, and we're doing this because there are 13 other states that are doing this in the 50-something states that America has. But if you understand that education is compulsory, meaning that we all pay, the outcomes are required by the community, so that the community can chat about what's happening and what's really not happening, because it ain't happening, boo. And they got 100 pounds of shit up in here. Let's see, what is this? The path forward. Well, we'll just talk about the path forward, and then after the path forward, we'll see where we end up, because we're on page 93 of 100 and something, and we didn't do nothing yet. We didn't talk about nothing. So I'm sure this is the path forward in English and then in Spanish. But, they have other people besides English and Spanish here. Yes, they do. And they have to accommodate all those people. But when you're not accommodating anybody, and you're just accommodating yourself so you could keep your jobs, well, I'm sorry. Oh, no. They don't do it in Spanish the last time. They'd only do it in English. Well, I guess they decided that they had done enough. Let's just go to these last few pages, shall we? It'll be over soon. It will be over soon. But until it is over, we just going to have to talk about the path forward. All right, let's begin to read. Speech, speech, speech. Start.
Interim, the United States Department of Education established interim final requirements 1 for the American Rescue Plan Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief (ARP-ESSER)
It
Fund
hasn't been
under
approved
Sec.
yet.
on 2001 of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The requirements clarify how local education agencies, LEAs, must meet the statutory requirements to develop a plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services, and how state education agencies, SEAs, work with LEAs to develop and submit these plans. The Clark County School District, CCSD, is an LEA, and the Nevada Department of Education is an SEA. The Nevada Department of Education began fulfillment of its responsibility under these requirements with Guidance Memo 21022, released on May 28, 2021. The memo describes both the details on the Nevada Department of Education's role in the submission of CCSD's plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services and the requirement the plan also fulfills under Governor Steve Sisolak's Declaration of Emergency Direct V04434 offering distance education and developing plans for a path forward program of distance education for the 2021-2022 school year. Under the ARP-ESSER and Nevada Department of Education guidance, and because CCSD operates both as a county school district and a charter school sponsor, CCSD must, by July 14, 2021, submit via email a form signed by the superintendent that certifies compliance with Direct V044. By July 14, 2021, submit via the Nevada Department of Education's EPGE system the CCSD's plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services, which must include a plan for a path forward program of distance education for the 2021-2022 school year. By July 14, 2021, submit via email compiled plans for path forward programs of distance education and forms signed by the district-sponsored charter school leaders that certify compliance with Direct V044. By September 10, 2021, submit via the Nevada Department of Education's EPGE system CCSD's ARP-ESSER funding plan. The following pages contain descriptions of how CCSD intends to meet the requirements for the Plan for Path Forward program of distance education and the Plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services. 1 hour. ps:/www.governor.info.gov/content/pkg/fr-2021-04-22/pdf/2022-083559.pdf 2 hours. ps://do.nv.gov/uploaded files/ndet-env-gov/content/news_content/media/guidance_memos/2021/guidance memo 21-02.pdf 3 hours. ps://governor.nv.gov/news/emergency_orders/2021-04-19-covid-emergency_declara on direct v_044_A8 ments Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward program of distance education and plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services. 1. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward program of distance education and plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services 2021-2022 school year plan for Path Forward program of distance education requirement. All districts and schools must submit a plan for a Path Forward program of distance education for the 2021-2022 school year. Guidance Memo 2102 for the 2021-2022 school year. CCSD offers to parents guardians 3 separate learning models. Fully face-to-face instruction at every school, with the exception of Nevada Learning Academy at CCSD, the district's virtual school. Fully distance education at any school with enough PAR-CIPA on for the principal to staff the program, and available to all students at Nevada Learning Academy at CCSD, The district's virtual school. Hybrid instruction on a limited basis. Requirement. In implementing path-forward programs of distance education, districts and schools must ensure students participating in distance education have access to the technology necessary to participate in distance education, such as access to a computer and internet connectivity, or plan to provide accommodations for students without access to such technology. Guidance Memo 2102 Ccsd will continue to support a 1-1 environment in which every student is provided with a district-owned device, regardless of the learning model in which the student is enrolled. Ccsd purchased additional Chromebooks and iPads in order to supplement existing school inventory for issuing a device to every student expressing the need. A limited number of devices will be maintained centrally for enrollment increases, replacements, and emergency needs as inventory is available. Ccsd will subsidize internet connections for families without in-home internet connectivity who meet certain eligibility requirements during the 2021-2022 school year through the use of hotspots that ADI and Ally provide the appropriate Children's Internet Protection Act, CIPA, and E-rate required content filtering technology. In support of this program, a family support center will be available for families to contact during the school year. To qualify for this program, all of the following must be true. During online registration for the 2021-2022 school year, the family expressed that they do not currently have reliable home internet connectivity. The family has at least one student enrolled fully in Ccsd, including pre-kindergarten, pre-K-12 or adult education. The family has a financial hardship as demonstrated by any of the following. White Circle received subsidized connectivity through Connecting Kids Nevada during the 2020-2021 school year. White Circle experiencing housing insecurity, e.g., homeless, live and public housing, shelters, weekly rentals. White Circle has a student ending a community eligibility program, CEP, school. White Circle receiving public assistance, e.g., WIC, SNAP, TANIF. July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 2. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year requirements. Any district or charter school student who has documentation from a medical professional related to a condition that would be compromised by ending school in person or is quarantined on the advice of local public health officials must have an opportunity to access and participate in distance education. All county school district students must have an ability to access and participate in distance education at the request of their parent guardian through a process to be established by the district. Guidance Memo 2102 All students may participate in fully distance education, either at their assigned zone school, if enough students registered for the principal to be able to staff a program, or at the Nevada Learning Academy at Ccsd, the district's pre-K-12 online school. Some schools not able to offer a strictly fully distance education program are collaborating with other schools to offer a joint distance education or hybrid education program. Some classes are not offered through fully distance education at assigned zone schools, such as hands-on performing arts or career and technical education programs. The following criteria was used to determine that a course will not be provided via distance education at assigned zone schools. Courses that do not have resources or online content available. Performance-based courses, fine arts. Distance education does not allow students to develop SNL ensemble skills, such as balance, blend, and intonation. ADI on Ally. Small dimension performance skills cannot be addressed accurately through digital media. For this reason, performance-based courses will not be available through distance education. Due to potential safety concerns with students' health conditions and the participation in physical education courses through a fully distance education environment, it is recommended that students meet the physical education graduation requirements through personal fitness and wellness and through the Nevada Learning Academy at Ccsd. Site-specific courses may only be offered via distance education for students enrolled in that school and in consideration of staffing, i.e., International Baccalaureate, IB, Middle Years Program, MYP, and Academy of Mathematics, Science, and Applied Technology, AMSAT, at the ME of registration for the 2021-2022 school year. Parents guardians were provided with the option to select either fully distance education or fully face-to-face instruction for each student. Guidance materials were provided in English, Spanish, and Tagalog to help parents guardians through the decision. Guidance included characteristics of successful online learners, considerations for selecting full-time distance education, white circle interventions and supports for students struggling with distance education, white circle required face-to-face attendance for certain assessments, ACVS, individualized education program, IEP, and related services, white circle expectations for student participation, white circle guidance for accessing free and reduced lunch for qualified students. Expectations for distance education learners, white circle amendments, white circle communication, white circle academic requirements July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 3. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year. Supports for distance education learners, white circle student role, white circle parent guardian role. Sample schedule for distance education learners at assigned zone schools. All fully distance education requests are subject to approval by the school principal, based on previous POSI attendance and grades. Parents guardians of students not successful at fully distance education were encouraged to enroll their student in face-to-face instruction at the home school. However, the SLL had the option to enroll the student in the Nevada Learning Academy at Ccsd. Parents guardians were informed at the point of registration that students selecting fully distance education may be required to remain in fully distance education for the academic school year. However, the best interests of each student will be the determining factor in any case. Requirement: a licensed teacher or substitute teacher must attempt to contact each student via electronic means or by telephone at least once per instructional day. If a student's lack of access to a telephone or internet service results in an inability to be contacted, a licensed teacher or licensed substitute teacher must attempt contact via other means, e.g., home visit once per week and maintain a record of attempts. Guidance Memo 2102. Students participating in fully distance education at their assigned zone school will participate daily in synchronous and asynchronous learning ACVS. Elementary school students will engage in a common on of all real-me sessions, digital lessons, small group learning, and intervene on and accelerate on opportunities in reading, language arts, reading, mathematics, science, and social studies. Students in grades kindergarten K-2 will engage in a minimum of 60 to 90 minutes of real-me sessions per day. Students in grades 3-5 will engage in a minimum of 90 to 120 minutes of real-me sessions per day. Students may need to end audio in a small group instruction depending on the academic progress of each student. Secondary students will engage in a common on of all real-me sessions, digital lessons, small group learning, and intervene on and accelerate on opportunities in all courses. Students will engage in a minimum of 60 to 90 minutes of real-me sessions per week per course. Depending on the school, students may have 6 to 8 courses. Students may need to attend additional small group instruction depending on the academic progress of each student. All fully distance education students are required to attend the full duration of all Realme sessions with their cameras on throughout the sessions and must be available for all Realme sessions during the school's instructional day. Students may use a blurred background feature when participating in Realme sessions. Two-way communication with the student's teacher is essential. Each teacher will provide contact information and schedule virtual office hours. Parents, guardians, and students are encouraged to use this meet to discuss academic progress and student engagement. School counselors are also readily available to support families. July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 4. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year requirement. The program of instruction must provide appropriate education for English learners, students with individualized education programs, and students with 504 plans. Guidance Memo 2102 Ccsd's language development approach will continue to support English language learners else by preparing all educators to effectively provide instruction focused on teaching content and language simultaneously during distance education. Personnel in the English Language Learner Division provide practical guidance regarding the obligations extended to ELs during distance education. This guidance aligns to the information provided by the Nevada Department of Education regarding responsibility and accountability for ELs during distance education that requires Ccsd to provide services for ELs during this period of May. Consider and deliver services for ELs to meet their English language development and academic achievement needs. Communicate appropriately with the parents guardians of ELs during school closures on this and other related matters impacting students. Ccsd will provide special education and related services to students with disabilities in accordance with the student's IEP and provide reasonable accommodations in Section 504 accommodation plans. Professional learning, region support, and technical assistance will be provided to educators to meet the diverse needs of identified students. Parents guardians who selected distance education by the May 21, 2021 deadline for the 2021-2022 school year will have the opportunity to receive instruction at the Nevada Learning Academy at Ccsd if their student's assigned zone school is not offering distance education. If the parent guardian determines that their student needs to return to face-to-face instruction, the student may be reassigned to another site that has space and program availability. All students with disabilities or a Section 504 accommodation plan will receive the services or accommodations outlined in their IEPs or Section 504 accommodation plans. Will continue to collect ongoing progress monitoring data and document me spent addressing students' goals, as is standard proxa. Will continue to communicate appropriately with the parent guardian regarding their students' needs, as is standard proxa. Will continue to receive services during the school year. A student who is participating in distance education will receive his or her related services virtually, but if the parent guardian prefers in-person services, that will also be an option in lieu of virtual to receive services at an identified Ccsd location. July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 5. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year requirement. Licensed teachers and or licensed substitutes must be accessible to students through the internet or by telephone during the school's regularly scheduled instructional hours. Guidance Memo 2102 two-way communication with the student's teacher is essential. Each teacher will provide contact information and schedule virtual office hours. Parents, guardians, and students are encouraged to use this meet to discuss academic progress and student engagement. School counselors are also readily available to support families. Requirement: students participating in distance education must receive access to the Nutrient services to which they are entitled. Guidance Memo 2102. A student participating in fully distance education who qualifies for free and reduced lunch may receive meals at the school at no cost. The student must eat their meals at the school during the school's designated meal serving night per the National School Lunch Program, NSLP. If the NSLP requirements change, Ccsd will adjust to ensure eligible students have access. Requirement: districts and schools must use a consistent method in Infinite Campus for recording contact with students participating in distance education, which may include students demonstrating regular, weekly progress in their classwork that can be verified through a learning management system. Guidance Memo 2102. Teachers are required, NAC 387.165 and NAC 387.171, to take attendance daily. Daily attendance must be taken in Infinite Campus, the state-designated student information system for class record books. Traditional attendance, coding of P, present, A, absent, or T, tardy will be utilized and enabled during face-to-face instruction at the school site. For face-to-face instruction, determinations of student absent, present, and tardy status are made in accordance with Ccsd Regula on 5113, Second and 2. During distance education, teachers will utilize virtual attendance, indicating student participation. This tool resides in the same area of Infinite Campus, within the Teacher Instruction Tools path, Campus Instruction Greater Than Control Center. A student is considered present participating for an attendance day in class course based on the definitions below. The student makes progress in their class work leading toward mastery of the Nevada Academic Content Standards, NVACS, and/or courses compilation that can be verified through a learning management system or other means, and/or. The student participates in a real-me class session, e.g., attends the live Google Meet, and/or. The student meets with or otherwise communicates with a licensed teacher or licensed substitute teacher is able to discuss the student's progress in the particular course. July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 6. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 School Year Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services Requirement. The requirement clarifies that an LEAS plan must include how it will maintain the health and safety of students, educators, and other school and LE staff, and the extent to which it has adopted policies, and the description of any such policies, on each of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's, CDC, safety recommendations including universal and correct wearing of masks, modifying facilities to allow for physical distancing, e.g., use of cohort spotting, hand washing and respiratory EKE, cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities, including improving ventilation, contact tracing and communication with isolation and quarantine, in collaboration with the state, local, territorial, or tribal health departments. Diagnosing and screening testing. Efforts to provide vaccines to school communities. Appropriate accommodations for children with disabilities with respect to health and safety policies, and coordination with state and local health officials. Interim final guidance. Ccsd has established systems and processes to address each of the CDC's safety recommendations, in consultation with the Southern Nevada Health District, SNHD, and in consideration of state and local requirements and guidance, as described in the following table. Category: Clark County School District Plans and Procedures. Universal and correct wearing of masks based upon the approval of the SNHD, alignment with Direct-VES 044 and 045 from the state of Nevada, and collaboration with local and state officials. Ccsd implemented the following adjustments to the mask policy effective June 1, 2021. All staff who are fully vaccinated are not required to wear a mask on district sites and/or at district-sponsored events, excluding graduation ceremonies. All staff are required to wear masks on school buses. The following is required for students. Masks are optional for students in pre-K through grade 3. Masks are required for students in grades 4 and 5. Masks are optional for students in grades 6 through 12 who have been fully vaccinated. All students are required to wear a mask while on a school bus. Any student or staff, regardless of their age and regardless of their vaccination status, who are outside do not have to wear a mask. July 14, 2021. Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 7. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 2021-2022 school year. Masks are required for all ends and students who participate in or end graduation ceremonies. As community health conditions improve, these recommendations may be relaxed if allowed under state and local guidance. If health conditions deteriorate, these recommendations will be adjusted to align with state and local guidance. Modifying facilities to allow for physical distancing, e.g., use of cohort spotting, as local guidelines no longer restrict capacity to account for COVID-19. Capacity limits will revert to the maximum allowed by fire code. If local health recommendations change, Ccsd will adjust to ensure capacity limits account for appropriate social distancing. At this meeting, Ccsd recommends that, wherever possible, students in the cafeteria, multi-purpose rooms, auditoriums, and other large common areas practice 6 feet of social distancing between peers and adults. In circumstances of limited capacity where students can only practice 3 feet of social distancing, the following is implemented. Students are seated with peers who they are seated with during the instructional day to limit additional student exposure. Students are transitioned out of the cafeteria or multi-purpose room as soon as possible to the alternate location to maintain social distancing. CA charts are maintained with the most up-to-date information. The health office has been established at every school for students with healthcare needs that cannot be addressed in the classroom, e.g., diabetes and other non-contagious healthcare needs. The management of moderate to severe first aid injuries, medical and administration, and specialized procedures, non-aerosolized, such as diabetes care are handled in the health office to prevent possible cross-exposure risk with sick students. An area for students with possible COVID-19 symptoms has been established at every school away from the health office. The sick room is identified with appropriate signage. Use of an alternative room, not the primary health office, is preferable to use for sick room health services delivery. The management of mild to severe illness, including students with fever or signs and symptoms, is handled in the sick room to prevent possible cross-exposure risk with healthy students and staff. All employees who are assigned to work in the sick room are medically cleared and fit tested for an N95 respirator. As community health conditions improve, these recommendations may be relaxed. If health conditions deteriorate, these recommendations will be adjusted to align with state and local guidance. July 14, 2021. Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 8. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year. Hand washing and respiratory EKE staff and students are encouraged to wash or sanitize hands regularly, especially before and or check-in procedures, between classes or ACVS, and when working with children or supplies. When hand washing stations are not readily available, the use of hand sanitizer should be encouraged. Students and staff are encouraged to wash hands. Use hand sanitizer on, such as coughing, sneezing, or blowing nose, or using the restroom, before eating or preparing food, before and or touching face, prior to boarding the school bus, prior to school entry, before and or providing round care for another person who needs assistance, e.g., a child, before putting on and or removing gloves, or touching frequently touched areas, e.g., doorknobs, handrails, shared computers. Any staff member who is working in the sick room, conducting aerosolized medical procedures, and or working closely with students in specified conditions must wear an N95 respirator while performing their work. Additional personal protective equipment may also be required but does not require all the steps for the respiratory protection program. The training and fit test is brand specific to the N95 respirator at the ME of Tasing. The Safety Office will manage and monitor the purchase and distribution of the N95 respirators for the various departments for COVID-19 protocols. All record keeping will be done in the Safety Office to allow for prompt reporting to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration should a request for proof of compliance with the program be made. Cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities, including improving ventilation in an effort to maintain a safe and clean learning environment for students and staff, under the direction of head custodians. Building managers, custodial personnel perform light-duty ACVS in each classroom and common area throughout the facility on a daily basis. Enhanced cleaning with VirexDB occurs at the discretion of the principal and consulted on with the head custodian building manager, as needed. In addition to performing regular maintenance and repairs to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC equipment, Ccsd has taken proactions to ensure HVAC systems are functioning properly to maintain a healthy educational environment. Air filters have been changed at all schools and continue to be changed as recommended by the manufacturer. Heating and cooling coils have been cleaned to improve air flow and ventilation rates. HVAC systems have been July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 9. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year inspected to verify outdoor air intakes are working, and where possible outdoor air intake rates have been increased. Contact tracing and combination with isolation and quarantine in collaboration with the state, local, territorial, or tribal health departments. Ccsd works closely with the SNHD to prevent the spread of disease in schools and to monitor any outbreaks or community spread. Contact tracing is part of the process of supporting patients with suspected or confirmed infection. In contact tracing, the school nurse SNHD staff work with families or staff members to help them recall everyone with whom they have had close contact during the frame while they may have been infectious. Site administrators may be asked to assist with providing this information as well. In order to minimize the impact of quarantine decisions, schools and bus drivers must maintain CA charts to determine close contacts. The school and the SNHD staff will notify exposed individuals, contacts of their potential exposure as rapidly and sensibly as possible. Notification to the families of students recommended for quarantine, including telephone calls in their home, is made by the school administration. Layers of notification for parents, guardians, and school communities are distributed by the school administration. Contacts are only informed that they may have been exposed to a patient with the infection. They are not told the identity of the patient who may have exposed them due to privacy laws. Contacts are provided with education, information, and support to understand their risk, as well as information on what they should do to separate themselves from others who are not exposed, monitor themselves for illness, and the possibility that they could spread the infection to others even if they themselves do not feel ill. Ccsd collaborates with the SNHD weekly to discuss school reopening criteria and to determine any changes to quarantine requirements. Diagnosis and screening tasing. Ccsd will conduct a daily symptom check-in for all employees using the Memo system for monitoring employees' daily symptoms, exposure, or positive lab results for COVID-19. A nurse call line is in place to answer case-ons, provide information to staff and administrators, and also offer staff tasing opportunities that can be provided to employees at no charge. Information will continue to be provided as implementation progresses. An anticipated expansion of services in Phoenix and OW rapid tasing and RT-PCR tasing for both symptomacy and exposed students and staff will be offered at multiple Ccsd designated locations across the district to include rural ones. In addition, NC plan of tasing services using mobile van capabilities to reach areas of need.
Okay, enough of that. Because, the public school's responsibility is just to educate the population so that they can be employable. But when they're not doing it for your people need to understand that perhaps the harvest still continues and the plantation continues in America. It is our responsibility to ensure that this behavior just stops. So, here we go. Let's talk about the academic needs because, for how the CDC requires certain cleaning and how they're going to allow certain monies to be utilized by local people, and that's just real, to improve the nature of just actually how our cities are operating, because that's what America's all about. But let's just understand the basic requirements, so we're going to listen. This only had to do with these last words, and I don't even know the interpretation of how Clark County staff actually understand the requirements, but we're going to find out.
Requirement. The plan must describe how the LEA will ensure continuity of services, including but not limited to services to address students' academic needs and students and staff social, emotional, mental health and other needs, which may include student health and food services. Interim final guidance. Academic needs Canvas is the adopted learning management system for Ccsd. All teachers, including teachers providing fully distance education and face-to-face instruction, will utilize this platform as an instructional tool and resource to provide consistency for students and parents guardians. The established expectations will promote Ccsd consistency, focusing on organization, assessment, instruction, and support. Google Classroom may SLL be utilized by teachers. However, Google Classroom may not be utilized between teachers and students. Technology will be utilized to leverage opportunities to support student learning. Canvas will be utilized to provide authentic learning experiences and allow students the opportunity to showcase their understanding of grade-level content. When students are afforded quality digital learning experiences, teachers are then able to maximize small group instructional opportunities to support students and accelerate learning. Canvas will be utilized as the primary source for student assessment. The assessment feature mimics the Smarter Balance assessment items and connects seamlessly with the Infinite Campus Grade portal, providing accurate reporting to students and parents guardians. July 14, 2021. Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 11. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year in order to determine students' academic needs as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and provide instructional support. MAP growth will be administered for grades K-10. Students will participate in the fall, winter, and spring test administrations. Students in grades K-5 will participate in the reading and math MSES assessments. Students in grades 6-10 will participate in the reading and math MSES assessments. At the high school level, students in grades 9 and 10 will be assessed in algebra and geometry courses and in grades 9 and 10 English courses. Providing SNL and MLI support is critical to the success of teachers and students with the implementation of Canvas. Ccsd provides varied professional learning opportunities to support the differentiated needs of teachers and staff. Social-emotional needs. The multidisciplinary leadership teams, MLT, serve as the site-based team assisting students in need of mental health support. By using academic, amendments, and behavior-informed the team focuses on students who may require immediate support. Audio and Ally, a universal screener panorama, is used to also identify students in need throughout the school year. Combining all of the aforementioned data points allows for the MLT members to stay focused on the needs and supports of students. Finally, other outside resources are planned to be used to ensure tracking of referrals and warm handoffs to outside agencies provided by school counselors, social workers, and other members of the MLT teams at schools. The tracking of referrals or shepherding to outside ONS to a concierge model will assist with optimism response for families and ensure a more efficient approach with the site-level mental health professionals' role so that they are able to devote more to the students in need. Health Ccsd anticipates having 6 to 9 tasing sites around the district for staff and students who are symptomatic to participate in volunteer tasing. Staff and students will also be allowed to participate in vaccinations at these designated locations. Each school will be required to maintain a well-room for daily health needs and to sick room for students who appear to display COVID-19 symptoms. These two locations have an additional air purifier to assist with any possible droplets in the air. Students and their families are encouraged to follow the daily symptom check prior to leaving their home daily to eliminate potential exposures before arriving on campus. Visitors will be required to sign in daily as soon as they arrive to assist with contact tracing. Audio and Ally. All school and transport staff are required to maintain accurate CA charts to assist in contact tracing and notification. If individuals are fully vaccinated and not experiencing symptoms, they will not be required to be quarantined but will have the opportunity to participate in the voluntary tasing sites, if desired. If the positivity rate increases to 5% or more, Ccsd will resume mandatory COVID-19 tasing based on the SNHD recommendations. Nutri on July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 12. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year breakfast and lunch are available for all students at no cost. Ccsd received updated waivers from the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and will be able to provide free school meals for all children 2 to 18 years of age through the 2021-2022 school year. Meals will be distributed during designated school service day under the Seamless Summer Upon SSO guidelines outlined by the USDA. The Ccsd Food Service website, ccsd.net/foodservice, provides the district's nutrient policy, as well as the approved snack and beverage list. The site also links to the digital platform where the school menus and nutrient details can be found, ccsd.nutrislice.com. Requirement: an LEA must periodically, but no less frequently than every 6 months, review and as appropriate, revise its plan until September 30th, 2023. The LEA must seek public input on whether to revise its plan and on any revisions to its plan no less frequently than every 6 months. The revised plan must address each of the aspects of safety currently recommended by the CDC. Interim final guidance. The development of this plan was informed by many hours of feedback from stakeholders throughout the community. As the reopening plans for the 2020-2021 school year were required to be approved by the Board of School Trustees, all recommendations were presented in a public board meeting with much input from parents, guardians, students, teachers, principals, community members, elected officials, and representatives of community groups serving a wide variety of stakeholders. Though individual opinion on aspects of reopening schools varied greatly, the overwhelming feedback from our community has been clear: open schools while keeping our students and staff healthy and safe. In addition, this plan was presented to the Board of School Trustees in a public meeting to encourage and allow for public comment before submission. Moving forward, Ccsd is partnering with community leaders in the public education Foundation and Opportunity 180 on the focus on the future for kids. Community input the first step of the focus on the future for kids. Community input is to gather community input on the elementary and secondary school emergency relief (ESSER the third) federal funds provided to Ccsd through the ARP. Input received will be reported to the public and to our state and municipal partners, so that federal dollars allocated to improve student achievement are spent in a way to maximize impact for kids. Provide a community-informed, kids-first agenda to allocate Ccsd's federal funds and other future community investments. Serve as the basis of a refresh to Focus 2024 so it is aligned with updated priorities due to the impact of the pandemic. Establish a new approach to colleague community input and ensuring the whole integration of community priorities into Ccsd planning. In collaboration with a small planning team, Ccsd will coordinate the efforts of a broad range of community partners to collect and organize input directly from their constituencies and members. July 14, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 13. Clark County School District Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services 2021-2022 school year. Among other occasions, we will ask, what should be true for our kids once the funds have been deployed? Leveraging community partners to conduct the input sessions will increase the degree of participation. The planning team will provide a ready, set, reimagine community input toolkit with technical assistance, as requested, to community partners so that input is gathered in a consistent way and can be provided to the public. Superintendent Dr. Jesus F. Jara will partner with the Ccsd Board of Trustees, local municipal leaders, and state leaders to build by and identify opportunities for coordination of resources as the district develops a final spending plan and set of proposed outcomes based on community feedback. The use of federal funds will be Phase 1 in a minimum of a 3-phase input process to create and implement a shared community vision for our schools. Phase 1A, Phase 1B, Phase 2, Phase 3, Planning, External Alignment, and Internal Communication. May 28, 2021. July 2, 2021. Federal Funds Community Input and Report Out. July 5, 2021. September 10, 2021. Implementation Status and Plan Refresh. March 2022. May 2022. What's next in Ccsd Education? September 2022. November 2022. This process will allow for the continual review of input from our community, allowing Ccsd to prepare and post on the district's website any revisions to this plan no later than December 15, 2021. July 15, 2022. December 15th, 2022. July 15th, 2023 requirement. The plans must be, in an understandable and uniform format, to the extent practicable, read in a language that parents can understand or, if not practicable, orally translated, and upon request by a parent who is an individual with a disability, provide in an alternative format accessible to that parent. Interim final guidance. This document will be translated into Spanish and will be provided in alternative formats if requested. July 14th, 2021 Appendix 3A. Plan for Path Forward Program of Distance Education and Plan for the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. 14.
Okay, so we can just stop this for a second, and you just need to understand that the requirements for the federal money is for the federal community, just for the federal people. I mean, it's for everybody. It doesn't exclude you, not even if you're limited on your knowledge. Local accountability means site-based decision-making. Measuring the support of those students come from the site, not from the district. The district can't be this large and not have any data, boo. That's how come they're broken up into certain areas. But every school is required to follow the process. But when the district has not established a process, boo, and freedom is all based on your limited access for public education, I promise you, 2022 forward, we're going to understand exactly what's happening because we're all paying for this thing called federal education. It is mandated by law and actually compulsory laws, and the failure to comply will allow your child to be murdered. And then the compensation still come from all of us. The word is e privilege, And quite frankly, when people run on the ability to have school choice, and everybody wants to have a voice in what's happening with that $770 million of the American Rescue money, when they don't understand that they've not followed any of the regulations for the receipt of the money in the first place, well, perhaps, boo, it's just time for a new conversation. Failure should never be an option. What will you do in 2022? Like, subscribe, and follow me.